Hi guys! I'm so happy to be back recording another video. I'm very happy to be back in my car. It is very much so my safe space. But yeah, today I wanted to record a video on anxiety. It is definitely something that I am very familiar with and have dealt with almost my entire life, starting at a very, very young age. And I just think it's really important to be able to have open conversations about anxiety. And I find that when I talk about the anxiety that I experience out loud, it actually helps to really diffuse it for myself and really helps to let go of any guilt and shame. It feels like I'm taking my power back in a way. So I just felt like, yeah, it would be cathartic for me to be able to talk about, although I do feel like I've made many strides in, first of all, just loving and accepting myself, even when I'm an anxious mess. But second of all, finding a lot of tools to help me along the way to better manage my anxiety. And then also just being able to create separation between me and the anxiety I experience and to not identify with it and to just, really diffuse it and experience less. However, it is still something that I struggle with pretty much on a daily basis. So yeah, I guess my intention is to just speak openly about this and share my experiences and what works for me, and to hopefully make anybody else watching this video feel very seen and not alone, and to help anybody else release any guilt and shame, because, or not even guilt and shame, but I guess shame and embarrassment, because it's something that's so normal and obviously something that nobody ideally wants to experience, but a lot of us do. And I know that for myself in the past, and even still to this day, I will sometimes isolate myself when I have really bad anxiety, or even just a base layer of anxiety, because I feel like I need to have optimum full energy and be in a good mood to be able to interact with people. And I feel like I need to kind of hide, or my anxiety will kind of lie to me and make me feel like I just really, really need to isolate myself, and that I shouldn't be social unless I have I'm full of positive energy and I'm talkative and I'm in this particular mood, which is just so entirely not true. And I'm really, really grateful that I've really worked through that and that I allow myself to show up imperfectly and just very authentically these days. And I think that shift happened for me when I realized that showing up authentically in, any mood that I'm in or whatever, struggle I'm experiencing allows for a deeper connection between me and whoever I'm with. I just feel like being myself and just being straight up and honest about, I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety today, or this is what's going on, or I'm just not in the best mood, or just even not explaining myself, but just showing up and maybe not being the most talkative or the most outgoing. I just feel like it's just real. It's real. And so that allows for a much deeper connection or conversation than kind of just putting on this front. I feel like it allows me to feel safer. It probably allows the other person to feel more comfortable, because I'm not just being a weirdo, trying to have it together when I clearly don't. And I feel like it gives the other person permission to be themselves as well, and to show up imperfectly as well. And then to maybe feel more comfortable to also be vulnerable and be oh, well, this is how I've been feeling lately. And to kind of just be able to take the mask off and just relax and just have a genuine interaction and to feel safe and to kind of release that shame and that embarrassment together. I just feel like if I can allow myself to show up authentically, it really just creates the space and gives the permission slip for somebody else to do that. And somebody that I've really, really, really learned this from is Hitomi on here. I love watching Hitomi's videos and just watching her show up really bravely and talk about her experiences where, sometimes she'll go to a party and she'll be feeling a lot of social anxiety. Just kind of owning it and embracing it and allowing yourself to show up and your different moods, your different personalities. Well, I guess maybe not personalities, but kind of, sometimes I feel like I can be super outgoing and super charismatic. And then there are other times where I just kind of go mute, and I'm just I don't feel like I have the capacity to kind of show up in those other ways. And they're all equally as real, equally as valid, and equally me. And so just honoring that is such a special and amazing thing to do, and just really, really shows yourself that you love and accept yourself no matter what. And just recognizing that yeah, we're not always going to be like these perfect chipper people, you know, and that's okay and that's normal and that's human. But yeah, I started experiencing anxiety at a very young age. I actually can like literally pinpoint the exact day that I first had like an anxiety attack / panic attack, and I feel like my life completely changed after that moment. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and me, my dad, my mom, and my sister used to live in my grandma's basement. So I specifically remember this one day, or it was actually nighttime, but this one night where my sister and I were jumping on the bed and like laughing and jumping on the bed, and like all of a sudden, I like went to go get a drink of water from a water bottle while standing on the bed. As soon as I swallowed the water, I don't know what happened, but I instantly thought I was going to die. And I just remember like my heart was racing. I just knew I was going to die. I felt like I was going to die. I started freaking out. I was panicking. I couldn't breathe. And I'd never experienced anything like this, and I literally don't know like what brought it on in that moment. Super crazy. But I just had this huge panic attack. And basically, like, my parents called an ambulance, and upstairs at my grandma's house, like, I had multiple, like, aunts and my uncle and my grandparents living up there. So I remember having my mom wake everybody up, and this was like the middle of the night, but wake everybody up because I thought I was gonna die, and I like wanted to be able to say goodbye to everybody. And I just remember everyone like standing around me, and the paramedics came and they put the little thing on my finger, I remember. And I'd also like thrown up. Like, I got so worked up, I puked. I remember like I threw up when the paramedics were there, and I remember one of them like making a joke about like me throwing up on him to like lighten the mood and make me feel better. Like, I kind of remember like laughing and him putting the finger thing on, but I still just was like, I had never experienced anything like that. And they like checked, you know, like my vitals, I think, and yeah, just I was fine, and I ended up feeling better. But after that night, I had so much anxiety. It like brought something on for me, and I'd never experienced it. I had like a very wholesome, you know, childhood, and I just from that point had extreme anxiety. I had to go to counseling. I developed these like really intense fears. I was like fully convinced that everybody else in the world was a robot except for me, and I was the only one that wasn't a robot. I was scared even my parents were robots. I had to go to therapy about it, but the whole entire time I thought that the therapist was a robot, and I thought she was gonna kill me. And I was so scared to go in the room alone with her, and I felt like I couldn't trust anybody. And I had this like intense fear of going to school, like at a very young age. I remember at my counselor, I had to like draw pictures of me like on the bus, and like she would try to ask me like, okay, at what point in the morning does the anxiety come on for school? Is it like when I set foot at the school? And I hated going. I dreaded going. I also developed this like really weird anxiety. Like, I don't even know how this came to my head. I don't know how my brain thought of the robot thing and convinced myself of that. Like, I literally don't know. But I also convinced myself of this like weird fear that I was going to die, and then I was gonna go somewhere, like heaven or something, be put somewhere, but I was going to be the only one there, and it was going to last for infinity. Like, it was just never going to end. And I would just like keep myself up at night and just give myself these awful, just like panic attacks, thinking about how like I was just going to be exiled to this like ether place by myself, but it was just going to never, ever end. And I just developed so much fear around like infinity and that situation, and just around dying in general. My mom told me that I used to have to like lay on top of her to sleep at that point, and I would always make her put her hand on my chest to fall asleep to make sure she could feel my heartbeat, because I always thought I was going to die in my sleep. And it makes me actually so sad to think about this, because I remember just feeling like so much fear and anxiety as such a little child, and like I just don't know where it came from. But I was like plagued by it for so long. And I always thought like if my parents were like 10 minutes late from work, or if they went out and I tried to call them and they didn't answer, I always was like convinced that they had died. Like, my mind just always went to like the worst case scenario, like always. And I just would like get so worked up in my body and like have like a visceral reaction, like heart palpitations, feeling sick to my stomach, just like, you know, all of that. And then I feel like that just carried throughout, you know, pretty much my entire life. I always had a lot of anxiety going to school, all throughout high school. I always had like a lot of social anxiety. I always was like terrified to do like job interviews and stuff like that. And I feel like I just always have carried or had carried kind of this like background anxiety, just like at all times, where I just would always feel like slightly uneasy just in my everyday life. And I just became so accustomed to it. And so all of that to say that like I am very familiar with the feelings of anxiety, and I get it, I know it, and I just know how horrific it can feel and how draining it can feel, how scary it can feel, how intense it can feel. And I also know like just, yeah, how much embarrassment I would take on, and just how it would make me feel like I couldn't show up as myself, just like feeling really, really anxious, and then feeling like I can't articulate myself correctly, or I feel like restricted in my conversation or the way I'm expressing, because anxiety is like taking control of my body, and I just like don't, like I'm basically in survival mode. Like I don't feel like I can express myself fully. I don't feel safe to like maybe be as comfortable and like as jokey and silly, you know what I mean? I've definitely experienced like moments in conversation where I just get super fucking anxious and like my mind goes blank and I get really bad brain fog, which like I've definitely had very many embarrassing moments. And luckily I've had like amazing people in my life, and in those moments where I can tell that they just want to hold space for me, and like I don't know, but I've just seen other people's like face when I get really anxious, and like those moments are like deeply engraved in me. But at this point, I kind of just have to like laugh it off, because I know how much it sucks for me in that moment, and I know it wasn't something that I can control, and like it really like is not something that I should ever, or anybody should ever, feel embarrassment about. I think that we just have to give ourselves so much love, because it really, really, really can just be so hard. I also remember a time in my life where I was literally fainting, and this could also have to do with other health issues that I've experienced in the past, but I really, really think a lot of it was brought on from anxiety. I literally fainted in front of my entire class on the first day of esthetician school. Like, guys, it's bad, okay? Like, it's been really bad for me. But I really, really got into a place where I really do just, like, laugh about it. Like, that shit is actually so fucking funny to me that I fainted in front of my entire class. And obviously at the time, it's, like, a little bit mortifying. I do remember tweeting about it and being like, holy fuck, I cannot believe I just did that. But I know sometimes it doesn't feel that lighthearted, and it really, really, really does feel awful. And it like just sucks, and it's just not ideal, and it's embarrassing, right? And it just doesn't feel good. But I think just like trying to like be as lighthearted as you can, and just trying to like laugh it off, and just own it and embrace it, and yeah, just to love yourself no matter what, through it all. But just like really, really, really sharing all of this with you guys, just to let you know that like you are so not alone, and you are so worthy of love, and of just like sweetness, kindness, gentleness, grace from yourself and from the people around you. And that is totally okay to not be perfect, okay? And to, yeah, just be anxious sometimes, or show up imperfectly sometimes. But I wanted to share with you guys some things that have really, really, really helped me with my anxiety, like especially when I'm really feeling it in the moment. And I feel like these tools have like entirely changed my life and allowed me to show up in situations that in the past would have made me feel like immensely anxious, and like a completely different, more confident, more relaxed way, which I just could not be more grateful for, because life was a struggle. Doing job interviews was a struggle. Adulting was a struggle. Doing all these things that felt so scary to me, and like literally feeling like the visceral reaction in my body made existing very difficult for me. But I feel like I have just made so many strides in the way that I show up in the world, and more importantly, the way that I feel inside when I am doing things, and just like when I am living and showing up in the world. So I wrote down a couple of things. Number one, I would say, is breath work, and just really, really, really being aware of my breath, and just taking deep breaths. Like, I know we hear that from such a young age, and like it's cliche, whatever, but it's so true. Like just taking deep breaths when you feel yourself starting to get worked up, if like you're doing something that's making you more nervous, or even if you're just like relaxing and then all of a sudden you feel like this intense anxiety come up in your body. Like, it's so weird how you can just be like watching TV, hanging out, have nothing to be stressed out about in that moment, and then all of a sudden, like, your body is reacting like you're being chased by like a bear or something. Like, it actually is so crazy. But just becoming aware of your breath, kind of slowing down and just consciously taking deep breaths and really, really, really extending your exhale, I think really calms your nervous system down. I notice a big difference in myself when I do that. Like inhaling for like a count of 4, exhaling for a count of 6. Alternate nostril breathing has really helped me. I remember one time when I was doing like one of the first styling gigs I'd ever done, I was so overwhelmed that like old me would have literally just like crumbled and fucking panicked. But I was like, you know what? I have these tools now in my tool belt. Like, let me actually implement this right now in the moment. I pulled over to the side of the road. I did the alternate nostril breathing, and I felt so much more calm within my body. And then from there, I was able to handle all the tasks that needed to be done. And like, I fucking killed that shit. Like, I actually did so good. But just having that knowledge of my breath and really like, it just really truly makes a difference in your body. Your breath is everything. So I would say breath work and becoming aware of my breath has helped immensely for me. Also, movement really, really helps. So if I have the time and the space, like if I'm at home and I'm just feeling really anxious about something, going to the gym, going on a run, doing yoga, just really like getting the energy out of my body. 'Cause a lot of times anxiety just feels like a lot of this like stored energy. So I feel like being able to have an outlet for that, super, super helpful. And then like with yoga, sometimes I really prefer to do more of like a really slow flow where I can like really focus in on the breath a little bit more. But also sometimes like I'm just so anxious that like a really fiery, like more fast flow, I feel like just helps me to get out of my head and like really back into my body. So I love just to move my body if I'm really going through it. And then also just like something that I do all the time, if I'm feeling anxious in the moment, if I'm about to go hang out with somebody and I feel nervous about it or something like that, I like to just like shake out my arms and my legs and just kind of like move my whole body. And I feel like it kind of just releases some energy and kind of like resets my nervous system. So I definitely like go in the bathroom a lot of times. Like if I'm going somewhere and I'm nervous or I'm anxious or whatever, and I do that, and it helps me to just kind of like reset and I feel better. Another tool that has like helped me more times than I can even say is having anxiety supplements in my purse. I right now have these ones from a brand called Array. It's just called Calm. I actually got this from my old work because I worked at like a vitamin department, and so I would get a lot of free vitamins, but I really, really like this one. I actually really like that on the container for the directions, it says to take a capsule when you're feeling anxious, but it says combine with 3 minutes of deep breathing to enhance the effects. So I really, really, really love this. A lot of these supplements, like they're natural, they're non-habit forming. I don't like super rely on them. I definitely like to try to like do what I can first with the breath work, with the movement. But if I'm just feeling really anxious and I need something like quickly that's going to help me, those have come in clutch so much for me and like truly changed my life. I have these ones. I have also taken just lavender pills you can buy online. It's literally just lavender essential oil and a pill. So it's all natural, completely natural, literally just lavender oil. But it has a really calming effect. The only thing with the lavender ones is it definitely will make you like burp lavender afterwards. But those are amazing. I can put a couple pictures of other ones that I really like. I really like one called Zen. And then I also like one called like Anxiety with just like a T. And I really like, I think it's called GABA. I really, really, really like that ingredient, and I really like L-theanine. So I've kind of like used these enough times to like recognize what really works with my body, and they don't make me feel tired. They don't make me feel sluggish. Like it literally will just take the anxiety away, which is like fucking incredible. So those have really, really helped me. And then kind of like I mentioned earlier, just being able to talk openly with my friends and family in safe spaces and be able to hold a safe space for myself to be able to say like, you know, I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety today, whether I know what it's about or it's just like random, and just being able to kind of take my power back. A lot of times I feel like anxiety makes us feel like it silences us, like it makes us feel like we can't communicate. And so I feel like just really, really, really just like, yeah, taking your power back and just saying like, this is what I'm experiencing today, a lot of times will make me feel better. but it just makes me feel like I don't have to hide away as much, and like I can still communicate with my friends and family, and like I don't have to just isolate myself. Like I can still have these relationships. I can still talk to my friend that day if I want to talk to her without feeling like I have to wait until the next day or wait until I'm feeling better. So I really, really, really think it's important to talk to the people around you when you're experiencing it. Sometimes I definitely need like time to myself, and like, you know, my friends know this. Like my friend Kendra will call me and then I'll text her later because, you know, it's just like needing some time to myself or whatever. But I think just like if you do want to talk to people, don't let it stop you, and just allow yourself to just show up exactly how you're feeling in the moment. Something I like to do when I'm hanging out with people when I feel anxiety is just to literally say like, yeah, I'm just feeling a lot of anxiety right now. I don't know why. And even just something as simple as that just makes it feel like I can show up authentically as myself. And it just makes me feel more safe and more comfortable. So yeah, just don't feel ashamed to talk about it. And don't let it silence you. And then also meditating for me has really, really helped, being able to stop throughout the day, slow down. I feel like that really has to do with the breath work. And then kind of just like observing. And I feel like it kind of creates space between you and the anxiety. And so you aren't identifying with it as much, because that's another thing, is that like I know how real it feels and like how plagued you can be by it, but you are not anxiety, and you are not the anxiety that you are experiencing, just like you are not your thoughts. And it can be really, really easy to identify with anxiety when it's like all consuming and like what you're experiencing in the moment. But like that is not your true being. It is literally just something that you are experiencing, just like any other emotion or ailment. And so just being able to kind of create an environment that like puts space between you and the anxiety so you can observe it. And like I said, just not identify with it really, really helps to diffuse it, I feel like. So meditating definitely really helps me. And then journaling about how I'm feeling really helps. Taking a bath really helps to calm my nervous system. Just really like whatever works for you to calm yourself down, to get out of your head, to like return back into your body and into the present moment. Another thing I really like to do when I'm feeling really anxious is to imagine myself like looking down upon my body from like a bird's eye view, because a lot of times like the anxiety and the overthinking is just so much like in our heads, and like we're just aren't being in the present moment. And I feel like kind of observing myself and just looking like, okay, from an outside perspective, I'm literally just in my room hanging out comfortable. Like, is my mind in a different place right now that is perpetuating my anxiety? Can I return back to the present moment where I'm actually safe and I'm actually comfortable and like everything is okay? So yeah, just a lot of tools that I have picked up along the way that I'm really, really grateful for. And, you know, a lot of these things I've picked up from other people sharing openly about their anxiety too. So just so grateful for anybody who is just brave and just allows themselves to be themselves. It just sets such an amazing example. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is that I had seen this picture on Twitter. It was like a Ram Dass quote. I really, really like Ram Dass, but it says, "You took birth here because you had certain work to do. This is your curriculum. It's not an error where you are now with all your neurosis and your problems. You're sitting in just the right place." When I look back at that anxiety panic attack I had when I was 6 years old, and just really, really, really my entire life path and how my life has unfolded over my 26 years of life so far, I feel like it's just not random that I have struggled so much with this anxiety and other certain things in my life. And this quote just brought me so much reassurance that it's like, it is my life's goal to free myself as much as I can from anything holding me back from being myself, doing the things that I want to do, from feeling good and safe and comfortable and happy. And I just feel like, yeah, it's just not random that I was blessed with this major anxiety that is fucking shitty and sucks to work through, but is so like rewarding. And then that I get to share my experiences with other people and maybe help somebody else and connect with other people. And that I've like developed so much compassion for myself and for others through the things that I have struggled with and experienced. So I just trust so deeply that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and that it's all for a greater purpose, and that it's something that I can handle, and that maybe I was even aware of before I decided to come down to this earth. I know that's like a personal belief, but just that we have this certain curriculum and these certain things that we came to this earth to work on and improve and just learn more about ourselves through. And so I just really have so much love for myself and for this journey. And I'm just trying to own it and embrace it as much as I can and learn as much as I can and just return to love for myself and others and compassion. And I just think that's a really, really beautiful thing. So that perspective really helps me when I'm feeling just like, why me? Like, what the fuck? Like, actually, you know, we all have shit that we are working through and that we struggle with in this life. And I think that we're all just trying to free ourselves, and that's just part of the life journey. But anyways, I hope that you're able to take something away from this video, and I hope more than anything that you are able to just be really kind to yourself and gentle to yourself, and to just remember and know that you are so worthy of love and understanding and just all of the things, even when you are being an anxious, fucking neurotic mess, because, you know, we all have our rough moments, but we're human beings at the end of the day, and it's so normal. So just try to give yourself as much grace as you can, as much compassion as you can. Try to lean into healing. And yeah, I hope that these tools that worked for me also work for you. And like I said, like the way that you handle your anxiety might look completely different for me. So whatever works for you, but you're not alone. And I just love you guys so much. And I just feel really grateful to be here and to be able to share with you guys and be received by you guys. So thank you for watching this video. And I will see you guys again soon. Okay, bye.